guys excited?
Yeah.
You're going to work out today.
Oh.
Just kidding. You're going to get spa treatments. Yes. You are going to get petite facials. You're going to get massages. You're going to get lavender paraffin dips for your hands. And are you ready to change into some robes and slippers?
Yeah.
Yay.
Where's Emily?
Okay. So they're going through.
And then I want paraffin and everything again.
You want
I want to get
bunch?
and manicure pedicure. Not once a month. I want it once a week.
I don't think so.
I love jeans. I love jeans. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 15, 16, 17, 18, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32. And then I have some in a wash. The first time cheerleaders came out, I couldn't get them over my butt. I was like pulling and pulling, and I was really upset. So I started crying when I got home, because then I thought I was fat and that I couldn't, be cool because I couldn't have the true religion jeans like all the other girls. I want like long legs. I have normal size. I can't make my legs get really long. But unless there's some surgery, I'm unhappy with my cuticles. I don't love my freckles. I think that my arms are hairy. My mom said that I could get them lasered. Then I looked up laser. You have to be like 15 and have like your period and like for like 3 years or something like that. And then I have fat feet. Don't look at them, don't look at them, don't look. But I want to have a lot of money, so...
And a good career.
I don't want to work. I just want to have a lot of money so I can shop and, have expensive horses and, have nice dogs and, I want to have a lot of money.
As a team, we try to have as much fun as we can. We not all the way in the real world yet, but we almost there.
It's gotten to the point where race doesn't matter anymore. It's almost to the point where money is all that matters to some cliques and groups in schools. It's a lot better than saying, oh, he's black, he's Mexican, he's white, he's Asian. I like it better about money than about that because at least there's something involved.
We spend as much money as we can to be somewhere, just not to be considered lower class, We just want to be somebody. We just want to come off like we're somebody.
I only really get the feeling of needing something if somebody else wants it.
You segregate. Well, not segregate.
But you could tell
what someone's wearing, like who they're friends with, which sounds weird, but it's true.
It's true.
It's not like a good or bad thing. It's just what happens.
This one boy said me get a nose job. And then he made fun of my nose and stuff. And I used to think my nose was fine.
My wish for the world would be that people can find a way to define themselves besides their financial status.
I think that money does make the world go round, unfortunately. I think that most people
بینندگان گرامی، با سلامی گرم به تک تک شما عزیزان و آرزوی سال نو خوب توأم با شادی، سلامتی، موفقیت، شادکامی، خوشدلی. برنامه دیگه از مامتاک رو خدمتتون ارائه می‌کنیم. امروز به قول معروف هات تاپیکمون بحث داغمون در رابطه با New Year's Resolution و اون اهدافی هستش که برای سال نو رو در خانواده ها میخوایم که انجام بدیم با هم دیگه و روی این اهداف به اصطلاح انرژی بذاریم و کارهای خوبی برای سال 2016 با هم دیگه انجام بدیم. خب یکی از این اهداف financial intelligence هستش. با خیلی از خانواده ها که من کار میکنم و صحبت هایی که داریم، چه از طریق تکنولوژی، ایمیل و غیره، سوشال میدیا و چه از طریق حضوراً در مطب، پول همیشه و اینکه چگونه ما با پولمون به اصطلاح به بچه‌هامون یاد میدیم که خرج بکنن، خرج نکنن، سیوینگز به اصطلاح حساب پسندازشون، چه کاری با پولشون انجام بدن که برای به اصطلاح آیندهشون بهتر باشه، آینده بهتری داشته باشن و کلا رابطه بچه‌ها با پول به چه صورت هستش. امروز درباره این موضوع می‌خوایم صحبت بکنیم و خدمت شما مهمان بسیار گرامی دارم که قبلا هم با ایشون آشنا بودید. ایشون اکسپرتیزشون و به قول معروف اون تخصصشون در رابطه با فاینانشال منیجمنت و کمک کردن خانواده هایی هست، به خصوص خانواده های ایرانی در این رابطه و اینکه کلا ما چجوری با بچه هامون درباره پول صحبت بکنیم، بهشون یاد بدیم، به اونها آگاهی برسونیم و کمکشون کنیم که بچه های شادابتر و موفقتر باشن در آینده. خانم رکسانا مداحی، خیلی به برنامه MomTalk خوش آمدید. It's a pleasure to have you again. I'm so excited to talk about this very important topic, especially as it relates to our New Year's resolution. So tell us about financial intelligence. What is it, and how do we move into 2016 with our families and improving their financial intelligence and fiscal intelligence?
Sure. Thank you, Nelly. I'm so happy to be here, always with you. Really, the most important part of financial intelligence is understanding values and making sure that your children have certain financial values. But the clip that you played before, there was a girl that was showing her 32 pairs of jeans and her spa birthday, which, you know, that's fine to go overboard and to, or overboard by some people's standards, by many people's standards. What worried me in that interview was that she then later was saying, there was a pair of jeans that didn't fit me, and I was really scared that I wouldn't have the jeans that everybody else had. Or that when she was saying, I really, really want to make money, which I think that's great. You should want to make money. We should want our kids to be financially successful. The problem that I had there was that she wanted to make money so that she can go shopping. You know, one major piece of financial intelligence is wanting to make money for the right reasons that can make you whole as a person, for giving, for saving, for investing, for growing, for sending your kids to college, for giving, for health, safety. And, you know, to want to keep up with the trends isn't really the healthiest mentality to have. So financial intelligence overall is just having the right values financially and understanding where your limits are.
I'm just going to take a moment to translate for our viewers. بنابراین یکی از اهداف ما، یکی از کارهایی که میتونیم بکنیم که کمک بکنیم بچه هامون رو در این رابطه، این هستش که به اونها یاد بدیم که ارزش ها و باورهاشون بر اساس اون به اصطلاح رقابت کردن ها یا کول بودن به قول معروف تو مدرسه، که اگه من این کفشو بپوشم کول خواهم بود یا این شلوار جینو داشته باشم کول خواهم بود، رو اون نباشه. یعنی اون کانفیدنس، اعتماد به نفسشون روی ارزش‌ها و باورهای درونی باشه و به اونها یاد بدیم که چیزی که دارن یا اون چیزی که مالکیت دارن لزوماً مربوط نیست به کی هستن و چی هستن و اینکه اون به اصطلاح اعتماد به نفسشون برمیگرده به شخصیتشون، به رفتارشون، به کارهایی که انجام میدن و نه لزوما اون چیزی رو که میپوشن و اون چیزی رو که مالکیت دارن براش. It's such a good point, and I think it starts from home, from parents probably, from mom and dad, because oftentimes children look up and they're internalizing a lot of these values. So if as mom and dad were not practicing some of those values, then we're going to teach them the right values. So it's not the handbag that I wear or the pair of shoes that I wear that relates to my value and who I am, but rather the kind of person I am.
Absolutely.
And so to start from home, از خونه باید شروع بکنیم. اگر شما کسی هستین، مادری هستین که با هندبگ شانل یا با هندبگی که پاپولار هستش جلو میرین و اون ارزش ها و باورها رو مدل و الگو قرار میدین، خب مسلما اون بچه که در اون خونه هستش همون معیارها رو درونی خواهد کرد. ولی اگه شما کسی باشین که ولیو خوشتون خیلی از مادرها میدونم they like nice things, you know, I'm one of them. I like to, own a nice handbag every once in a while. However, that does not define who I am. And I think that's the point you're raising.
Exactly, and that's the mentality that I'm trying to raise. And thank you for the translation. فارسیم خیلی خوب نیست ولی
My pleasure.
میفهمم.
We try our best. بله. خب بریم به موضوع بعدی. پس در درجه اول اون معیارها، ارزش‌ها و اینکه کول بودن و خوب بودن کلاً به چی مربوطه، به چه ارزش‌ها و باورهایی مربوطه. و وقتی ما اون ارزش‌ها و باورها رو برای بچه‌هامون مشخص می‌کنیم و در مدرسه‌ای رو انتخاب می‌کنیم که اونها ارزش‌ها و معیارهای شبیه ما دارن، این یه نوع به اصطلاح تعادلی برقرار میشه در زندگی بچه‌ها که یاد میگیرن، احساس میکنن که لزوما این کفشی که من میپوشم به من ارزش نمیده یا این کتی که میپوشم به من ارزش نمیده، بلکه رفتاری رو که انجام میدم ارزشمند هستش و به من اون اعتماد به نفس رو میده. و خب اگه یه همچین کاری رو ما بتونیم تو لس آنجلس انجام بدیم، واقعا کار حضرت فیله. Right. It's hard. We live in such a materialistic community. I'm sure you've struggled with it. I struggle with it all the time.
Of course.
And Los Angeles is probably, the capital in that sense of dealing with this. However, I know many families who have started this movement towards fiscal intelligence, financial intelligence, and valuing what you're mentioning, what you're talking about, what's important long-term, looking at long-term goals and short-term goals and inspiring each other. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I think the first thing that we need to teach our kids is confidence more than anything else, that they are not their handbag. They are not their shoes. They are themselves. They're a person, and the value that they bring to the table is the kind of person that they are and the quality of the person that they are. And that will really, you can probably speak to this even better than I can about how to really instill confidence in your children. But that's going to be the first step in getting them, in separating them from that idea that they need an item, that they need this. They don't.
One thing I've noticed in raising confidence as it relates to financial intelligence is improving the communication as it relates to finances and financial intelligence in one's household. میدونم در خانواده‌های ایرانی، به خصوص خانواده ایرانی که من باشون کار میکنم، خیلی از اوقات مشکلات و تنش و اختلافات سر پول هستش. چرا که خیلی از اوقات پدر بیشتر نانآوره، پدر as the provider, right? و بعد خانواده ها خیلی قاطی هستن روی اینکه کی فایننس رو منیج میکنه، کی فاینانشال، و کامیونیکیشن در خانواده وجود نداره و به این صورت میرسه که اون وقت اختلاف خیلی زیاد سر خرج کردن یا سیف کردن یا چجوری با پول برخورد کردنه بدون اینکه کامیونیکیشن باشه بین به خصوص بچه ها و مادر و پدر و خانواده. از کارهایی که من دیدم خیلی کمک میکنه فامیلی میتینگ هستش. یک بار در ماه من بهشون توصیه میکنم که میشینین درباره اون ایشوهایی که در رابطه با پول تنش دارین یا مشکل دارین اینا رو یادداشت میکنین، میشین و صحبت میکنین با هم دیگه. بنابراین وقتی که این تنش رو در کامیونیکیشن میتونین پایین بیارین بچه ها اعتماد به نفسشون بالا میره. برعکس وقتی که این اختلاف بیشتر میشه و پدر مثلا حمله میکنه به مادر سر پول، دعوا هستش سر پول، مادر حمله میکنه، این کانفیدنس و اعتماد به نفس رو در بچه ها ضعیف میکنه و on the contrary حتی به یه جایی میرسونه که براشون issue میشه. Right? The relationship with money, they start to develop this almost love and hate, this dichotomy, right? On one hand, they see that money brings them, you know, joy and pleasure, and on the other hand, it's leading to a lot of tension and conflict, and so that can lead to bigger issues and problems with confidence.
Yes.
So how you handle money in your family is crucial. In fact, research shows that right next to in-laws, you know, how you deal with your in-laws.
Actually, more than in-laws.
Right? I know you've written an article on this.
Is money fights leading to divorce. 70% of divorces in the United States are because of money.
Wow.
Money issues.
Yeah. And I'm not surprised because in my office, in my practice, I deal with it, especially in our culture, in our community where there is a lot of secrecy around money. There's a lot of hush-hush. There's a lot of, you know, in-laws being involved with hiding the money. And I have to tell you, many times the top issues, the complaints that the wives have is, you know, my in-laws are controlling the money. I don't know what's going on with our finances. My husband is very secretive about it, and I want a divorce. And so it comes to a point where the lack of communication leads to divorce. And then what happens with divorce?
And then they want to get money from their divorce and they can't because it's tied up in their in-laws.
Yeah, right? Yeah, so you deal with a lot of these families as well. So what are some solutions? Moving into 2016, let's talk about solutions.
The biggest solution is teaching your kids to save and to put their money away, that not every single dollar that comes in needs to be spent. So for example, you give your kid $1 of allowance. One suggestion I have is make them understand that money actually gets taxed. So give them the pre-tax money and have them put away that 30% in California or 35% in California that they would then have to pay in taxes ultimately. Also have them put away money to save. So, you know, give them more allowance than you would have under the expectation and under the expectation that money is then saved for taxes and saved for investing purposes. The next thing and the next most important thing is to teach them to invest. You can, you know, open up a little stock account, invest $30, invest $50, you know, whatever the amount is. Once they have a little bit of money put away, they will learn the power of investing. They will learn the power of investing over a long period of time and how much that money can grow. I mean, on average, your money invested in the stock market doubles every 7 years. Imagine your child starts saving from when they're 15 years old, what that could mean for them when they're looking to buy a house when they're 30.
Yeah.
It's powerful. And it is something that they should be comfortable with. It is an idea that they should be familiar with and that should be instilled from a really young age. And that's something that we really, unfortunately, we don't learn in school.
Right.
Our children really don't learn it in school. They often don't learn it from their parents, which is what we're really working on and trying to teach parents to teach their kids these values.
great solutions. So you start early, you start the educational process. یاد بدیم به بچه هامون که چجوری به اصطلاح حساب پسنداز داشته باشن، چجوری در ستاک مارکت اینوستمنت داشته باشن، چجوری از سن کم روی دوراندیشی و به اصطلاح حفظ پولشون برای آیندهشون رفتار و اعمالی نشون بدن که با همدیگه تو هم با یادگیری و ارتقاء آگاهی باشه. در خیلی از خانواده‌هایی که من باهاشون آشنا هستم و کار میکنم، به خصوص خانواده‌های کلیمی در جامعه کلیمی، یه سیستم جارز، having different jars و اینکه چجوری ما پولمون رو قسمت بکنیم، حفظ بکنیم و پسنداز بکنیم. شیوه به اصطلاح یادگیری هستش که در خانواده ها صورت میگیره. یه ویدیو کلیپ خیلی جالب داریم از این به اصطلاح آموزش و پرورش و این ارتقاء آگاهی در خانواده ها. با شما این رو تماشا میکنیم، برمیگردیم در رابطه با financial intelligence and fiscal literacy.
His son would say, son, don't put all your money in one jar. If I were to give you $10 a week, take $1 for the Lord's tithe. Learn how to manage His money. Another $1 for offering. Take another $1 for savings. Take $2 for investments in the hopes of multiplication. Then take $5 for spending. Son, so first you tithe, you give, you save, invest, and spend the rest.
You know what that little Jewish boy learns to do? To
What?
take his money and invest it in something that will multiply. I heard of one young boy who just simply lent money to other kids in his school, and you know what happened? Those kids would pay him back double what he lent them, and his money grew and grew and grew. Do you know at the end of high school, this is actually one young man that I know, he actually bought his first house for cash when he graduated from high school. Do you know all the other kids around, you know what they did? They had incurred a credit card debt by the time they had graduated from high school.
نکته خوب و مهمی هستش در رابطه با پسنداز و اینکه قسمت کردن پولمون بخشیشو بدیم برای چریتی، برای کمک کردن به دیگران، بخشیشو بدیم اگر به تمپل میدیم، به چرچ میدیم، به مسجد میدیم، به کسی که بتونیم کمکش بکنیم، بخشیشو حفظ بکنیم برای پسنداز و اینوستمنت، چجوری سرمایه گذاری یا سرمایه‌مون رو یه جایی بذاریم که بزرگ بشه، بیشتر بشه. An investment, which this kid had his own business, you know, starting your own business, and the money grows, and learning how to accumulate assets and how to stop our liabilities, and teaching our children about assets and liabilities. Yeah, it's such an important topic, and we don't talk about it enough in families. I know I have just recently, you know, this past year, started talking to our kids about it, and they've kind of perked up. They're very interested, and now they're understanding the relationship between, you know, money, savings, wasting, you know, not being wasteful. And it's interesting because based on their personalities, they have different relationships and different ways of applying these principles to their money. So, for example, my son, who's more conservative just by nature, he makes more conservative decisions. Like, he wants to save. For Christmas, he didn't want any toys. He wanted money, and he wanted to put it in a savings, and he's very, very conservative. And
That's impressive.
It's innate.
Look at you.
They're born with it. And he's probably learning it from my husband, because my husband is also that way. So part of it is nature, and part of it is nurture. And our girls, you know, they're learning as I'm learning. I was talking to you about this earlier. I was never taught growing up in our family about money and how to manage money. And I think it's one of those really important areas that we as moms and parents need to work on a daily basis, and it's part of the peace learning, because conservation is peace learning. And so how do we conserve money? How do we, do a better job in managing our money? Mm-hmm. And that's your expertise.
Yes. Well, I actually loved this clip that you were showing before about having the different jars. Yeah. And that's really how we should be teaching our kids how to manage their money. It doesn't have to be, physically in jars, but to put their money into buckets of what they want to use it for. So, for instance, you can give them an allowance, or when they're older, they can work, and have part of it in a jar for spending, part of it in a jar for investing, part of it in a jar for giving, a big part of it in a jar for taxes, and be able to understand that entire picture of what it means to really put money, to compartmentalize their money, so that it's not just one stack that they really kind of can't figure out. And I also think that one big thing that we should be encouraging our kids to do is to be entrepreneurial, and to find ways to make money.
Good point.
And that will really incentivize them to save. If they understand that they can take their money and they can grow it, they can invest in themselves and they can grow their money, that is a big incentive to put money away and to save. And if they fail and they can do it again. And that's something else that's really important, is to encourage your kids to go for it, to do it, and that it's okay to fail. And if they fail, it's just an opportunity to learn, and they can go ahead and they can do it again.
Can you think of an example? I know you work with a lot of families. Can you think of an example, a family that you've guided or you've worked with, a young entrepreneur who's been able to do something, or invest in a business, or an example of this in a family?
Sure.
Yeah.
I think the best example is a family that I worked with recently that actually helped they're of substantial wealth, and they were able to put away a certain amount of money for their son to start a specific business that he wanted to start. And he was really in charge of creating the business plan, of running the entire show, of being the CEO, and really devoted his life to it. And this is somebody right after college. It's, most parents don't want their kid not making an income for a while. But at the same time, he wasn't married. He didn't own a house. He had the option of still living with his parents and living small, living lean. He had savings throughout his life, and his parents really were able to encourage this behavior of going ahead, starting a business, putting all of his energy into it, putting all of his money and some of their money into it. And this is where I think, parents of substantial wealth can invest in their children and teach their children to invest in themselves, rather than what we were talking about before, using their money just to spend on material things that aren't really going to fulfill them.
Okay. So taking that risk for some parents, I know, is not easy, because they're, probably conservative, and that's why they're so wealthy. And so that is taking a leap of faith. Do you help in that process? Are you in a position to encourage, or how does your relationship with the family,
Yeah, I am able to assist in the process of telling them, of really being able to explain to them the different buckets of money that they have. And just like they were showing in the video before, you could put away a bucket of money for new ideas. I know, for instance, my husband started with his employees Billionaire Saturdays, where they just sit together and they talk about billion-dollar ideas. And they do this on Saturdays because hopefully Monday through Friday they're doing real work that's really yielding them some money. But on Saturdays they think about these outlandish ideas of things that people need, that they can possibly make money off of. And having a bucket of money for billion-dollar ideas, or for million-dollar ideas, or for just ideas that they think can be a small successful business.
What a great idea. And kids can start that. Kids can start a club, $1 million ideas, and brainstorm, and you're right. They can set aside like a bucket and get the concept and practice the idea of what it takes to be an entrepreneur.
Yeah, so in terms of what I do with families, I could sit there and I will sit with them and look at their financial statements and look at the financial plan that we've put together and say, you do have this amount of money that if you lost it, nothing would really happen. You would be okay. Your life wouldn't change. You would still be able to meet all the goals that you want to meet. Why don't you go ahead and invest in your child's future?
So you as a financial manager and advisor, you kind of do the risk assessment and help them understand, what the risks are, and then if it's safe enough, if it's not too risky, then
exactly. And even if it is, risky, I really think the most important thing that we can do for our children is to invest in them. And if that means that we have to become a little bit uncomfortable, spend a little bit less, change our lifestyles a little bit, is that the end of the world for our children's future? If we see that there's a real commitment from them, a real commitment from them. I'm not talking about just, here's money, go do what you want, but really working with them, really encouraging them that they can do whatever they want.
And I know in our community, our families are very good about that. I know that one, asset or a big positive in our community is that we do come together as families and we help each other out, and that's awesome. Now, what about, this is another area of conflict that sometimes comes up in how the in-laws handle sort of money for the grandkids. So for example, in many families, the in-laws, let's say the mom or dad of the husband or wife, they are making decisions on, to include the grandkids under trust and, long-term asset transfer without the knowledge, without communicating that information to the non-biological parent. What do you think about that? And what do you suggest to some of our families?
Sure. I think, first of all, that's extremely generous.
Yeah.
And there is really nothing that you're not going to be able to have control over it. If you're, if the grandparents want to have control over that money and they want to give it to your grandchild, that's great. And the most important thing you can do is teach your children the right values and teach them how they can handle that money, what they can do with that money.
Okay.
So it's, it's not really necessarily in your own control, but you can teach your kids the right skills. And you can also talk to them about it. Tell them, Mazar Buzorg is giving you this amount of money. What do you want to do with it?
No, but I'm talking about in situations where the mom or the dad doesn't know that Mama Buzorg is giving a lot of money.
Oh.
So then the grandkids end up inheriting a lot of money without having had those conversations or the preparation, I guess.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. And in that case, it's really about how teaching your kids the right values, because there's nothing else that you can do. Is teaching them. But at the same time, they've done a lot of studies about people that, and I don't know how much money you're talking about and what different people's personal situations are, but they've done studies on lottery winners and athletes and people in Hollywood that have large amounts of wealth sudden large amounts of wealth, and they lose it.
Yeah.
More often than not, without the right guidance and without the right support, they lose that money really quickly. Money can be spent so quickly. And so the only thing you can really do for your kids is teach them how to avoid that. Teach them how to avoid those mistakes, teaching them to invest, to save, and to live a little bit less than what they see on the paper in terms of what money they have.
Very, very great tips. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
We have another clip to show you. This one is from Dr. Lee Hausner, who is a consultant, or used to be a consultant to the Beverly Hills School District regarding financial intelligence. Let's watch this next clip, and then we'll come back and discuss it.
As part of any educational process, parents have a responsibility to teach the next generation the responsible use of money. It starts with an allowance. And an allowance should never be so great that the child can buy whatever they want, or so small that they can't make some money decisions. And I like an allowance divided into parts. A part they can spend immediately, a part that they have to save, delaying gratification, and a part that they give away. So that you really start that idea that we have a responsibility to the larger world. As a child gets older in high school, I think that they should be on a larger allowance. I've always said that they can submit a budget over which the parent has line item veto. So a child begins to understand that money is a finite object and how to manage that. I love the fact that children have work experience. So now they connect that there's a certain amount of effort that is necessary in order to obtain material goods. If there is significant money in a family, I want them to start to learn about investing and the world of investing and how to manage the money. The issue of wealth that went from shirt sleeve to shirt sleeve in 3 generations very often occurred because one generation understood how to make the money, but the next generation was not trained on how to be responsible stewards of that money. So they have a wonderful lifestyle, they go through the money, and then by the time the 3rd generation comes along, we don't have the money. So that concept of how to be responsible and manage money is a learning process that becomes very important in families and really the responsibility of every parent.
خب این صحبت درباره اینکه چجوری پول رو با بچه هامون صحبت بکنیم، آگاهی بیشتر برای حساب پسندازشون، برای خرج کردنشون، چه مقدار مسئولیت دارن نسبت به چریتی و دادن به اصطلاح انجمن‌های کسانی که در نیاز هستن. خلاصه با مسئولیت برخورد کردن با پول و این آگاهی و این به اصطلاح رفتار رو چجوری به بچه‌هامون یاد بدیم. داشتیم صحبت می‌کردیم با رکسانا درباره اینکه خب خیلی از این توصیه‌ها خیلی خوب به نظر میاد، great executive function skills, it all makes sense, logical، ولی در خانواده‌ای که 2-3 تا تینیجر هستن و تینیجرها خیلی سریع تصمیم میگیرن و به اصطلاح زمان خیلی سریع کارا اتفاق میفته. این نوع برخورد با پول شاید واقع بینانه نباشه. برای همین I wanted to ask you some suggestions, some practical tips when dealing with money in a household with teenagers on a fast-paced lifestyle. Mm-hmm. How do we implement some of these great ideas into just the relationship with money, relationship with teenagers, and guiding them through making these quick decisions?
Sure. I think just chiming in on little things that they may not realize. For instance, you know, they're ordering in food and you see that they're ordering way too many things. Mm-hmm. You know, as their parent, I think it's okay to just say, do you think that money can be better spent? Mm-hmm. You know, why don't you put that away and save it for your business or for your savings, for your stock account? Mm-hmm. So just chiming in here and there when you can. Mm-hmm. You know, kids get sick of their parents talking to them and giving them advice all the time. Yeah. But it's you could just little reminders here and there, or not. Mm-hmm. It's not going to be devastating to your relationship. Mm-hmm. The other thing is that just like anything else, once you've learned a skill and learned it well, you can do it quickly. Mm-hmm. You know, driving, for instance, the first 100 times you drive, it's a little bit challenging. Mm-hmm. And then you get to a point that now you're an expert and you don't think about it. It's a habit. Mm-hmm. It's part of your life. And just like these money thoughts and talks that you have, mm-hmm. It's the same kind of thing. It becomes a habit after a while. Once you've done something a certain amount of times, you can react quickly. You know, your reaction, for instance, when ordering food will be, you know, you won't even think about, where can I spend this money elsewhere? I'll just think, you know, this is my order usually, and I have a, you know, this is how much food we order for the family, and we don't want to over order because it's wasteful and because that money can be used somewhere else. You don't go through that entire thought process in your head, but that's where it originally stemmed from, and then it becomes a habit.
So just start early. The early years, again, going back to the early years, start from preschool. Start planting those seeds of conservation, greatness, being smart fiscally, being financially intelligent. There's a couple of books that I highly recommend by Dr. Eileen Gallo and John Gallo, who they used to have workshops together. Unfortunately, he's passed away, but she's still in practice. So this one is The Financially Intelligent Parent, and 8 Steps to Raising Successful, Generous, Responsible Children. And I highly recommend it to families who are trying to come up with step-by-step on practical tips, like how do we raise children who are financially responsible, and they're generous, and they're successful with money, which is what we all want as parents, right? With our different personality kids. This next one, Silver Spoon Kids, is a great read. It's also referring to many kids or children who grow up in affluent families. So dealing with affluenza, we've talked about affluenza before, how having too much money can spoil your kids and lead to issues. So preventing a feeling of entitlement, which is really, really important, especially if we're trying to bring peace into our communities and living a more peaceful life. I think preventing a feeling of entitlement can be a great contribution. I think especially in our society, in our community, I can't tell you how many times I've come across a group of teenagers at the mall or at a gathering where you just see, you know, they have such great sense of entitlement. They're being disrespectful to their peers, to their families, and it really breaks your heart because you know they're not intentionally behaving that way, but rather it comes from an upbringing, right?
Yeah, it comes from an upbringing. It comes mostly from insecurity.
Yeah.
And it also comes from, I'm trying to explain it the right way. It comes from not valuing themselves properly and not feeling like who they are is good enough, and that they need to be what their money is or what their parents' money is, that they didn't even earn themselves. And the truth is that money comes and goes, and it's a lot harder to adjust when you've grown up feeling a certain way about money and spending a certain amount of money and then having to change your lifestyle and tighten the belt from there. It's very, very difficult.
Which leads us to our last clip, and I'll let you talk about this next clip and our final clip, and we will end with that. How do we enhance and improve social and financial intelligence?
Sure.
American businessman, investor,
I wasn't sure if they were going to play it.
author, and motivational speaker. He's the founder of the Rich Dad Company. He has an estimated net worth of $80 million. He's Robert Kiyosaki, and here are his top 10 rules for success.
So the last thing I want to talk about debt is one of the best investments I made because I started off with no money like most people. You know, my first investment was a little $18,000 condo in Hawaii, and I made a whopping $25 a month. I didn't make much money on that deal, but every time I did an investment, be it real estate or business, I got smarter because experience makes you smarter. So I started with just a little $18,000 unit. I broke out my credit card. I paid the $2,000 down payment with my credit card, so it was 100% finance. Now, most experts will say you, that's stupid. You don't do that. But if you know what you're doing, you can do it. A number of years ago, I bought a $7 million commercial building. I paid for it with zero down. And every month, after everything is paid for, it puts about $30,000 a month income in my pocket, or $360,000 a year for no money down. So that is the price of having a good education or a bad education. A good education is knowing the good debt versus bad debt and how debtors can win if you know what you're doing. I don't know what the heck with people think about money, but that's what I get a lot of is kind of this, well, money's not spiritual. I'm just saying it's your attitudes, a person's attitude towards money. I make a lot of money, but I give a lot. You know what I mean? It goes to biblical principle, the more you give, the more you receive. So when I meet somebody who's doesn't have any money, it just means they're not giving something. Yeah. So a lot of times there's people who would like more, but they're not giving anything. Yeah. So they're like my poor dad. He belonged to the labor unions, and he wanted to work less and get paid more. Well, that's anti-religious to me. Yeah. If you want to get paid more, work more, give more. That's how I see it. Discipline I had to get into was I always pay myself first, even when I had no money. And when I have all these bill collectors calling me, I use them as inspiration. You know what I mean? Really? Oh, when they're hounding, the government's hounding you, bill collectors calling, because I've been broke, so I can understand what it feels like to be broke. When those guys are calling you, instead of shrinking and going into the shell and eating my pizza, I use it as motivation to go out and make more money. So I use my bill collectors as motivation, and that's why I paid myself first, even though sometimes I wasn't paying. What would you pay yourself? I always bought assets. I'd buy a house or I'd put money in the bank and things like this. But it was just a habit. Exactly what you're talking about. It's up here.
It's about changing the way you think. That's what the whole book is about.
That's it. Because we're our biggest asset, we're also our biggest liability. But the common wisdom, the old intelligence idea is to diversify. And what I believe in is something else, is increase your financial IQ, your financial intelligence, and instead focus. And what focus stands for is this. Focus is follow one course till you're successful. And so that's what I did in 1973. I signed up for my first real estate investment course. And I just did it and did it and did it. I bought this one little $18,000 place. And I did it again, and I did it again, and I did it again until the point where I understood it. And then I went into becoming an entrepreneur. And I did it, and I did it, and did it. And I'm still learning. And I'm still learning about real estate. And the reason, in 1966, I got into oil when I went to work for the Standard Oil Company. So today, I'm still focusing. I invest in oil and oil and oil. And I don't diversify. It doesn't mean I don't lose. Sometimes I'm lose, sometimes I make mistakes and all this. But I just don't buy good as with all the bad. If you're going to be successful as an investor, diversification is good for the average investor. If that's what you want to be, have a good life. But what I'd rather do is be able to know the good ones from the bad ones, the good investments from the bad investments, the good advisors from the bad advisors, and what's good for me and what's not good for you. Because what I do is not necessarily what's going to work for you and vice versa here. So that's why.
بله بفرمایید توضیح بدید درباره این ویدیو کلیپ. میدونم که شما با کارهای ایشون خیلی آشنا هستین and you like him a lot. Tell us about his background and
Sure. I'm a huge fan of Richard Kiyosaki. His mentality is that his background is actually that he had his father was a school teacher, and he believes his father was not very financially intelligent. He believed in kind of always working year over year to live the same life and not really having your money working for you. And his friend's dad was a very successful investor, had a few companies, and his friend's dad really became his mentor in teaching him how the rich think. So a lot of what he's saying here, I think it was step 4, was change the way you think. And I think that that's really, really important that we teach our kids to change the way that they think, or to think rich, ultimately. And
what does it mean to think rich?
What it means is to have your money work for you. So to find ways to invest, whether that is in real estate, whether it is in the stock market, or whether it is in themselves, in their own business, in their own future. And also another thing that he mentions, another way to have money work for you without having to go into an office every day is to, royalty income, patents, things like that. So having an ownership in something that yields you money without you having to go into an office every day. And that's what he really believes in.
So like for kids, lemonade stands and having garage sales and بچه ها بیک سیل میکنن، کوکی درست میکنن، میفروشن، پولا جمع میکنن، بعد میبخشن به بیمارستان، یا lemonade stand میذارن در تابستون و پولاشون رو جمع میکنن و در حساب پسنداز میذارن. کارهای کوچیک این گونه از سن کم یاد بدیم به بچه هامون که حساب پسندازشون رو یا حفظ پولشون رو و اینکه چجوری پول در بیارن به جای اینکه پول خرج بکنن. و این ارزش و این کانسپت رو اگر بتونن یاد بگیرن و درونی بکنن ممکنه تفاوت‌های شخصیتی داشته باشن. بعضیاشون مثل خود بچه‌های من، بعضی از بچه‌ها بیشتر هیجان زده میشن برای اینکه یه چیزی بخرن یا یه چیزی داشته باشن، بعضیا کمتر هیجان زده میشن، بعضیا میفهمن کانسپت پسنداز رو، بعضیا کمتر این آگاهی رو دارن و باید بهشون بیشتر تکرار بشه یا یادآوری بشه و آموزش بشه. بنابراین چجوری با بچه هامون رفتار بکنیم و یادشون بدیم که اینا این کانسپت حفظ پولشون و آیندهشون و پسندازشون و اینکه چجوری رابطه سالم داشته باشن با پول، نه رابطه‌ای که توأم با خشم و خوشی باشه. You know, that love and hate relationship, which oftentimes is common because of conflict in families. So we start right there and برای 2016 این به اصطلاح هدف مهم رو داشته باشیم که به بچه هامون یاد بدیم چجوری پولشون رو کمتر خرج بکنن، بیشتر حفظ بکنن و like you said, how to have your money make money for you.
Exactly. And what he really says is that at the end of the day, complaining doesn't help. If there is something that they cannot afford, that you cannot afford to buy them or that you don't want to buy them, encourage them to find a way to buy it themselves. And find ways to create rather than to just spend.
Wonderful. So if they want something really bad, اگه یه چیزی رو خیلی بد میخوان بهشون بگیم خب فکر بکن چجوری میتونی پول در بیاری و پولتو پس انداز کنی برای اینکه این چیزی که میخوای بگیری. میدونم این هووربوردا الان خیلی پاپولر هستش، بچه ها همه یکی دونه از اینا میخوان و خیلی هم گرونه. بنابراین چجوری میتونین پول در بیارین، پس انداز بکنین که یکی از اینا برای خودتون بخرین.
I remember I went to school with actually this person's actually a very successful entrepreneur right now. And when we were in high school, his parents were actually really wealthy, but they didn't really give him money to spend freely. You know, they gave him what he needed to survive, and that was it. And he started numerous businesses. I remember one of them was Iceberg Jeans was a brand that was really in style at the time. And his parents were like, this is ridiculous. We're not buying you a $100 t-shirt. So he went and he found a t-shirt company that would print Iceberg Jeans on a t-shirt for him. And he sold them to all the other kids in school.
There you go.
And that was how he was able to afford his own t-shirt.
There you go. It is possible.
It is. It's the mentality.
It's the mentality. We love you. Thank you for tuning in. Until next week. Thank you for coming.
Thank you, Nelly.
Bye.
Bye.
Sorry, we were out of time. I was
trying
to wrap up. Yes. So that one is our